Day of the African Child. Good evening, I'm Regina Manyara, and my colleague on sign language is none other than Anne Wangeshi. Muslim faithful across the country gathered at different venues to mark al-Adha, an annual celebration that falls on the 10th day of Hijjah, the last month in the Islamic calendar. The holiday, also known as a feast of sacrifice, is marked by prayer and sacrifice of prescribed animals in honor of the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son in obedience to Allah's command. The clarion call this Eid has been unity and peaceful coexistence to reign.
At the Sa Ali Muslim grounds in Nairobi, Muslim faithful turned up in their hundreds to celebrate this festival of sacrifice. The prayers were then followed by slaughtering of goats to share with family and the needy in the community according to the teachings of Islam.
Let us observe our unity. Let us live in peace and in harmony with all those who we reside with from other faiths, from other religions. Let us promote the good message of Islam.
At Uhuru Park grounds, Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja donated 500 goats to Muslim faithful as he reiterated his commitment to uniting city residents through effective service delivery.
It is about sacrifice, it is about God's providence, and it's about sharing. We have hundreds of goats, I think around 500 or so, that we're giving to each and every part of the city.
Separately, Muslim faithful in Murang'a County also received donations of foodstuff from a team representing the county boss Irungu Kangata.
Tuko na 180 households ambazo wameweza kupata chakula leo hii na ni furaha kubwa sana.
In Mombasa County, the celebrations were marked by prayer and sacrifice, with Muslims called on to shun practices that contradict the teachings of Islam.
Katika hii siku tuweze kukumbuka kwamba tunahitaji kujitolea katika maisha yetu, katika vitu tunavyovipenda na vile ambavyo hata ni haramu, ni wajibu kabisa kuweza kuviacha.
So tuwakumbuke mayatima, tuwakumbuke wajane, tuwakumbuke maskini, tuwakumbuke wale ambao wasiojiweza katika jamii ili na wao wapate furaha kama tuliona furaha sisi.
And calls for peace echoed at the Jamia Mosque grounds, Manyara County, as Governor Muhammad Khalif emphasized the importance of keeping peace in the county and the region.
Security Committee kuendelea kufanya kazi na wananchi na wana leaders so that county yetu tukue na amani.
In Isiolo County, the residents called on members of parliament to heed electorate concerns and reject the proposed finance bill 2024.
Sisi hatuwezani na hii finance bill. Tunaomba wakatae bunge kwa sauti moja, wakatae waangushe kabisa hiyo bill. Hiyo bill ni ghali sana na sisi hatuwezi.
Meanwhile, Muslim faithful in Migori County urged the political class to go slow on the one man, one shilling, one vote debate.
Vipengele 103 na 104 yote naeleza pile rasilimali tunazo nafaa kugawa kwa majimbo ama kwa Wakenya wote. Wanafaa uwe wa Kenya, sio viongozi naongea mambo wa jimbo wa kabila.
From the entire Kenya Broadcasting Corporation team, we wish you Eid Mubarak. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express from the Sa Ali Muslim grounds, Nairobi.
President William Ruto has joined world leaders in condemning Russia for invading Ukraine. Addressing the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland, President Ruto termed Russia's aggression against Ukraine as unlawful, unjust, and against international law. Meanwhile, President William Ruto held bilateral meetings with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine on the sidelines of the Peace Summit.
Speaking in Bergenstock, Switzerland, when he joined other world leaders for the inaugural summit on peace in Ukraine, President William Ruto said it is time for parties to the conflict to demonstrate good faith, abandon unyielding attitudes, and soften their positions for the lasting peace to be realized.
We have gathered here and we are reminded by the Indian statesman Mahatma Gandhi, who said that an eye for an eye will make humanity blind. Just as Russia's invasion of Ukraine was unlawful and unacceptable, the unilateral appropriation of Russia's assets is equally unlawful, unacceptable, and a derogation from the UN Charter, especially for those of us who believe in freedom, justice, and democracy, and the rule of law.
President Ruto regretted that the Russia-Ukraine war has had a devastating impact across the world, including Africa.
For the first time, we have convened to talk about peace in Ukraine and not war in Ukraine. Secondly, a commitment to peace makes certain fundamental concessions inevitable. This summit should not be a meeting of just friends. This should be a meeting of both friends and foe. To succeed in this positive trajectory, Russia must be on the table, number one.
But even as the world focuses on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, President Ruto is calling on the international community to pay attention to the forgotten wars tearing apart Africa's social fabric.
Just like the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East has been equally devastating. So is the case with the war in the Sahel region in Africa, in Eastern DRC, in Somalia, in the Horn of Africa, and of course in the Sudan. 40 million Africans have been displaced by the war in our continent, and 2.5 million kids are out of school.
On the sidelines of the Peace Summit, President William Ruto held a bilateral meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. President Zelensky reaffirmed the desire of Ukraine for peace and his openness to involve all parties in the search for a just and sustainable peace. President Ruto reiterated Kenya's unambiguous stand on the principle of equality of nations. Meanwhile, the Peace Summit concluded on Sunday with dozens of countries committing to Ukraine's territorial integrity. A final document was adopted which blamed the war's widespread suffering and destruction firmly on Russia. However, several countries attending the forum, including India, South Africa and Saudi Arabia, did not sign it. The summit, attended by more than 90 countries and international organizations, was aimed at creating a broadest possible backing for a process that could help end the war in Ukraine. Gishoke Washira, Sunday Express.
Back home, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has challenged the church to partner with the government in the war against illicit brew, drug and substance abuse. Gachagua spoke in Nakuru during the consecration of Anglican Church of Kenya. Nakuru Diocese Bishop kept off the politics that have recently rocked Mount Kenya region. However, one of his critics, the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, while in Mathira, Nyeri County, criticized Gachagua's one man, one shilling revenue sharing formula proposal as divisive. Giverson Minor has the details.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday graced the consecration of the new Anglican Church of Kenya, Nakuru Diocese Bishop Anthony Mwaura at Nakuru Athletic Club. The Deputy President asked the religious leaders and the church at large to join the government in the efforts to eradicate drug and substance use, especially among the youth.
Hii vita ya kupigana na mihadarati na pombe haramu hatuwezi faulu peke yetu. We need you to help us in mentorship, in counseling, in establishments of rehabilitation centers, so that those who are addicted, those are patients, they need care and empathy.
Gachagua, however, stayed away from the high-octane politics on the perceived divisions in the Kenya Kwanza camp that have raised political temperatures in the Mount Kenya region. However, his allies, including lawmakers drawn from Nakuru County, vowed to back him.
You have
the required experience which is needed to run this country. Kwa hivyo ikifika wakati yako, Your Excellency, uwe na hakika ya kwamba sisi tuko nyuma yako. Vile ulifanya na Rais late President Moi, umefanya na Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, na umefanya na Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Nataka nikuhakikishia kwamba tutasimama na wewe.
Church will have to hold us leaders accountable for what we say and what we do. I think we are failing, and it's high time that the church and Your Grace, we have seen you stand up for what is right. Please hold us accountable.
Ukisema Wakorino waungane, sio wapigane na Waanglikana, na sio wapigane na Wakatholiki. Hii nchi ni yetu sisi wote. Na hii Nakuru, Your Excellency, iko na kila mtu kutoka kila kona ya hii Kenya. Hapa ndo tunaita Rainbow County. Na kazi yetu ni kuwaunga mkono wewe na rais wetu tuweze kushika na kuongoza wananchi kwa njia ambayo inafaa.
Countering Gachagwa's narrative in central Kenya, National Assembly Majority Leader and Kikuyu Member of Parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, pitched tent in Manyara, Nyeri County, where he faulted the one man, one vote, one shilling revenue sharing formula. Ichung'wah urged the Mount Kenya region to be considerate of other regions that he said deserve equal and a fair share of the natural resources.
Do nothing from selfish interest and selfish ambition, but have the interests of our people ahead of our own selfish ambitions and personal interests.
Giverson Minor, Sunday Express.
First Lady Rachel Ruto is urging children to take advantage of the access to education provided by the government and development partners to nurture their future. The First Lady says the improvement of school infrastructure and the employment of more teachers is a testament to government's commitment to breathing new life into the education sector. She was speaking in Mwatate Taita, Taveta County during the national commemoration of the International Day of the African Child.
It was a fun-filled Sunday for hundreds of children drawn from various corners of Taita Taveta County. For many, the day was a welcome break from routine and a chance of a lifetime, a moment with the First Lady. The International Day of the African Child national celebrations in Mwatate was a platform for children to call the Kenyan government to action on issues of concern such as security and education.
Ijapo kuna sheria na nyenzo za kufaulisha haki na maslahi ya watoto, sina budi kusema kunazo baadhi ya changamoto kadhaa zinazofanya watoto wasilindwe na haki zao kuzingatiwa.
This year, thousands of children had their education disrupted by vagaries of weather and pockets of violence, especially in areas prone to banditry. First Lady Rachel Ruto said despite the challenges, the government has gone to great lengths to demonstrate commitment to make education accessible.
The recruitment of 30,000 additional teachers in 2023, which has brought the total number of teachers to 41,000, a 272% increase for the 11,000 teachers we had in 2022.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Protection is building the capacity of National Council of Children's Services to protect minors against radicalization.
Towards realizing the rights of our children, my ministry is implementing the Inua Jamii program, which supports 1.2 million households, out of which 353,000 are households with orphans and vulnerable children.
The Taita Taveta County government says it is working to improve the lives of children in the region, including the establishment of a rescue center.
Chakula ya watoto ni changamoto kubwa sana kwa watoto wetu hapa. Hata nimeona wale ambapo kuna chakula kidogo, utakuta idadi ya wanafunzi iko kubwa zaidi kuliko pale ambapo hapana chakula.
Tunaomba ya kwamba hiyo program ya school feeding program, chakula kwa watoto wa shule, iwe dhabiti, iwe ni program ambayo si ya kusimama.
The International Day of the African Child is celebrated on the 16th of June annually in memory of the student uprising in Soweto of South Africa in 1976. Kasi Namasha, Sunday Express.
Now, that takes us to a fast breather tonight, and as we take that breather, we invite you to participate in our conversation tonight, where we seek to address the reason why a majority of men are not open to having conversations about their struggles. So, as a man who is watching from across the country and even abroad, we can see you on our various platforms. Those who are watching from Boni, Makueni, as well as those who are watching from as far as Italy and the United States of America. You too can be part of the conversation on our KBC Channel 1 live YouTube stream. Why do you find it difficult to open up about your struggles? And we're going to address that in our conversation tonight. That breather first, we'll be back. Do not go away.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli. Ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. Daktari kumshauri tumia dawa kwa nidhamu. Elimu tupashane tupige vita TB. Mwa TB waishi poa.
Asanteni sana kwa kuwezesha Loto Moto kuwafikia wengi wasiojiweza kupitia star 570#. Hapo umewafuta wengi machozi, umewaelimisha, umewapa makao, umewapa lishe na umewapa matibabu kwa namna tofauti. Asanteni.
Asanteni. Asanteni sana.
Na kwako wewe mchezaji wa Loto Moto, unajipa fursa ya kujishindia Probox nayo. Na kama Probox haikufai na umejishindia, tunakupa taslim 750,000 Kenyan shillings na mshindi na mtangaza 30th of June. Na mwezi wa July 28th na mtangaza mshindi wa Demio nayo. Na kama utaki na umeshinda, wacha gari, chukua chapa 750,000 Kenyan shillings kwenye star 570#. Wewe si mshindi tu, wewe ni tegemeo kubwa. Tusaidie na tushinde.
Nilianza kuendesha boda miaka michache iliyopita ili kuhudumia familia yangu. Sio kazi rahisi, lakini inaweka chakula mezani. Wakati huo nilifikiria siwezi kushindwa. Ningeendesha boda kwa kasi, kukwepa na kuvuka barabara ovyo ovyo. Ningefanya chochote ili kufika napokwenda haraka. Lakini siku moja nilikuwa hospitalini kwa miezi 3. Kosa moja karibu liondoe kila kitu. Mwaka moja baada ya kutoka hospitalini, nilihudhuria mafunzo ya jinsi ya kuendesha boda kwa usalama. Boda ni life, lakini life si kitu bila usalama. Zingatia kanuni za trafiki. Hakikisha unavaa helmet na reflector jacket wakati wote.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Je, una malimbikizi ya ushuru? Mamlaka ya utozaji ushuru nchini KRA inakupa msamaha wa adhabu na riba ya ushuru kufikia tarehe 31 Disemba 2022 kupitia Tax Amnesty Program. Ili kujua jinsi ya kupata msamaha, jiunge nasi kwenye maonyesho ya barabarani kote nchini ukiletewa na KRA kwa ushirikiano na KBC. Pia tutakuelekeza jinsi ya kujaza fomu za ushuru na kujisajili kwa eTims, mfumo mpya unaokusaidia kutoa risiti za kidijitali kwa njia rahisi. Ijumaa tarehe 21 Juni tutakuwa Kisii County, maeneo ya mji wa Kisii, Ogembo, Suneka, Kenyenya, Nyamache, Marani, Masimba na Keumbu. Kisha Jumamosi tarehe 22 Juni tutazuru kaunti ya Kisumu, maeneo ya Kenyatta Grounds, Kibuye, Mamboleo, Kawosh, Manyata, Ahero, Nyamasaria, Nyalenda, Stage, Kondele. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Welcome back. Now, on the third Sunday of June, annually several countries, including Kenya, celebrate Father's Day. While it may not attract as much interest or attention as Mother's Day, it's a date worth marking if only to acknowledge fatherhood, paternal bonds, and influence of fathers in society. Our reporter Frederick Persaya spent the afternoon at Uhuru Park, Nairobi, and had a conversation in the section of fathers and children as well.
Imagine waking up today as a father to find 1, 2, 3, 4 or more little humans looking up to you for everything. Stephen Muli shares his experience from singlehood to fatherhood.
To be a responsible father is 1, teaching my children the word of God, number 1. Number 2, being a present father, being there for them, spending time with them. Number 3, loving their mother. We're treating and showing them what it means to be a partner with someone else. And number 4, providing for them.
Fatherhood means a lot, and McClanton Sikoku sums it up as sacrifice and being present for your family.
Fatherhood is not just about providing. You understand? It's not just about getting up, unaenda hustle, unarudi, unaweka do kwa meza. No, it's more than that. Yeah, a responsible father, first of all, you need to be loving. You have to love your family. It's not just a matter of, shika pesa, mimi nimeenda zangu nimerudi. That's one. And then you need to be an example. That's being a responsible father.
The role of fathers and the impact on the lives of their children cannot be overstated. Beatrice Maina has fond memories of her father.
One thing I can't forget about is that like umekuwa my role model, an encourager, and so much, like hadi siwezi in one statement.
For young ones like Kingsley Kimani,
I wish my father happy Father's Day kwa vile amenisaidia amenilipia school fees kwa na hizo vitu zingine.
In many cultures, fathers are protectors and providers, and on this Father's Day we celebrate them for that and more.
Messages of concern and parenting have been channeled out to parents out there, and indeed it is a happy World Father's Day. Parsai Frederick reporting for Sunday Express, Nairobi.
On the same breath, the dragon of child labor still rears its head in modern society, despite the elaborate measures adopted at both national and county levels towards its eradication. To complement government efforts in dealing with this vice, ICS and TDH Netherlands, both civil society organizations, have initiated child rights clubs in schools in Matayos and Teso North sub-counties in Busia County to sensitize learners and teachers on better ways to eradicate child labor. Cliff Okech with more details as Kenya marks the International Day of the African Child.
At Busibabo Comprehensive School in Matayo Sub-County, Busia County, learners, teachers and officials from TDH Netherlands and ICS, both civil society organizations, have gathered to reflect on a sensitization project on child labor, which has been running for the past 2 years. According to officials from the two organizations, child labor continues to thrive in the community due to inadequate sensitization and lack of clarity between child labor and child work.
So when you talk about child work, as it is work that children are involved in the household. So this work is not very intensive. It is work that children will do in terms of supporting their parents. It's work that is done that is within a child's limit. For example, if a child is 2 years old, they're given work for 2 years old. Child labor means children are involved in work that is over and above their age, work that exploits them, work that takes away their rights.
And in a move to seal the loopholes, ICS and TDH Netherlands have initiated a peer-to-peer sensitization mechanism, Christian Child Rights Clubs, or simply CRC, in 20 schools in Teso North and Matayo sub-counties in Busia County.
So we are employing peer-to-peer approach where children themselves are able to get education and educate their fellow children within child rights clubs, within specific schools in Matayos and Teso North. We are also looking into supporting parents to have skills to bring up their children in the right way, and also support them to get economic support to be able to provide for these children.
The Action Against Child Labor project, which has been ongoing for 2 years now, has borne worthy outcomes.
We are seeing children who now understand their agency, Children understand their rights, they understand their responsibilities, and now they're speaking up.
Let us not just say that poverty is the order of the day, that because we are poor, we should involve our children in child labor. No. Some of these parents have just decided to be lazy. So if we say we want to support the children, the parents will come first.
And as the world commemorates the International Day of the African Child under the theme Education for All Children in Africa, the need for policymakers to strengthen implementation mechanisms to rid the society of child labor and keep school-aged children in school cannot be overemphasized. Resource inadequacy has been identified as the major push factor towards child labor. This also affects the education of the children. And as the world commemorates the Day of the African Child, just days after marking the Day Against Child Labor, well-wishers and development partners are being called upon to complement government efforts to ensuring that children are kept in school through such programs as school feeding, and also households are supported through the Social Protection Program.
Because the theme is education for all children of Africa, and the time is now. And I wish then we could also be very keen to respecting that rallying call of the time is now, so that we all ask ourselves, what exactly do we need to do collectively, but also as individuals, as actors, what do I need to do to ensure that every child then accesses education?
Just like what the governor of Busia has done with the ECD by providing the lunch program for ECT learners. If that one can be extended especially to vulnerable families and children, then we are sure that all the learners in the county and the Republic of Kenya who are going for child labor will reduce greatly and will go back to school.
Another cause of child labor is the trend of some parents leaving their school-aged children under the care of the elderly as they seek employment in urban centers. To mitigate this practice, the government has been urged to fast-track the operationalization of the regional economic zones for the purposes of job creation at the grassroots level. For Channel 1, I am Wycliffe Okech.
To politics, Budget and Appropriations Committee Chair Ndindi Nyoro has asked leaders and Kenyans at large to be patient with the outcome of the Finance Bill 2024, as the report of the Finance Committee is not in Parliament yet. The Kiharu Member of Parliament argued that it was too early to draw conclusions when recommendations by Kenyans on the bill are yet to be considered by the committee. This comes as pressure mounts on elected leaders to shoot down the bill over its proposed taxation measures.
Ahead of the National Assembly's Finance Committee tabling its report on the Finance Bill 2024 on Tuesday, debate on its taxation proposals has intensified outside the House, dominating the agenda at most public gatherings. This was evident at an event in Ikolomani, Kakamega County, attended by Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro.
Nikisikiza watu wa Kakamega County, sauti ya watu wa Kakamega County, sauti ya wale wanichagua, sauti ya wale wamenitumia messages, over 1,000 people. Mimi Elsi Mohanda nikienda huko bunge nitapiga no kwa finance bill. Sisi kazi yetu ni kuingia bunge, tusome, tuangalie yale mazuri, yale tunaona ni magumu, tutoe. Na kura ipikwe hapa. Na kusoma tusomi hapa kwa microphone tunaongelea mpaka tufika huko bunge.
Tuko na uhakika wakati ile bill itakuja pale bunge tutaweza kuipiga msasa ipasavyo ili isiwe mzigo mgumu katika maisha ya Wakenya wetu.
At the coast, former Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho, who's also ODM Vice Chair, echoed similar sentiments, urging lawmakers to rise above partisan politics and amend clauses in the bill that might have negative impact on disposable income and businesses.
Hii nchi inataka watu wakae kwa pamoja, especially katika bunge letu. Tunataka tuone watu wabunge ambaye watakaa wakizungumza kwa maslahi ya mwananchi na wasichangie kamwe katika kuhujumu.
At a church service attended by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in Nakuru County, Nakuru West MP Samuel Arama said his constituents have pleaded with him to reject the bill.
Mimi nimefanya public participation kwa constituency yangu na watu wote wameniambia hii bill ni mbaya. Kwa hivyo mimi ikifika 2024, ikifika finance bill ya 2024, Your Excellency, mimi nataka kukuambia nikipiga no, ujue ni kwa sababu watu wamekataa, si mimi.
Kiharu MP Ndinyoro, who was in Kakamega, however, pleaded for patience, saying the report of the Finance Committee is yet to be presented in Parliament.
Hakuna ripoti iko bunge ya kamati ya finance. So ukiagua na mtu piga kura hivi ama hivi, kwa sahi hakuna kitu ya kupigia. Wakenya ndio wadosi wetu. Wakenya wamekuwa wakiongea. Sisi kama viongozi tumekuwa tukisikiza. I want to assure all Kenyans, ile maoni yote wamepeana kwa mambo ya finance, kama viongozi sisi tunaheshimu hiyo yote. Na najua mkiona ripoti ya kamati ya finance, mtakubali kama viongozi sisi tunaheshimu maoni ya Wakenya.
Hii si serikali ya dikteta, hii serikali ni ya kusikiza wananchi, na ina hakika nyinyi muendelee kusupport hii serikali kuhakikisha kwamba tuna raise ile taxes za kutuendesha mbele ili tuende mbele sisi kwa pamoja.
The Finance Bill 2024 has sparked criticism from Kenyans who argue that they would barely afford basic commodities whose prices would spike with the passage of the bill. Kamchemenza for Sunday Express.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate ili token mita yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
He was supposed to give me a full report on Melena's past, but all this says is that this woman is a living saint, can't even kill a fly. Oh, please.
I have to take the risk. I'm not running. If I do, I will lose everything.
You lost your mind? How could you spend the night with your father's worst enemy?
You had better treat me with respect, because if you don't...
Let go of me, Reynaldo! You don't have the right to treat me this way!
Watch the Mozart Bet Cup as teams from both the top tier and low tier battle for the ultimate prize of representing the country in Africa's CAF Confederations Cup. Catch all the action live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, beginning with a round of 16 matches, the quarter-final, semi-final and the final. Mozart Bet Cup, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it! That's why you're making fun of me!
Experience the drama.
Get out!
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow! Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening. Our conversation tonight is about addressing men's mental wellness, given that June is a month that is dedicated towards that. Now, statistics indicate that prevalence on drug and substance addiction is on the high among men more than women. Is there a correlation with their reluctance to share their struggles to this particular statistics? So tonight, I am joined by two gentlemen in studio to just try and address that conversation tonight. On my far left is Tony Muthemba, who is a public health practitioner. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Sure. Then immediately on my immediate right, we have Lewis Mutungi, who is a counseling psychologist. Gentlemen,
thank you so much for having me.
I want to say Happy Father's Day, either as you are or you're intending to. Okay? Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Now, let's start off from that. It is a known fact that men do not share their struggles. On a personal level, we'll start with you, Tony. Why do you think men are always reluctant to sharing their struggles?
What happens with men? Men have been socialized to be these kind of alpha beings, and men are known to be, or rather they are perceived to be weak when they open up. However, it doesn't mean that men do not go through emotional downdrops and other kinds of backdrops in terms of their thinking, emotions, and probably how they behave. It's how the society has cultured a man to be. So
enculturation of the man, that the man is stoic and strong when he deals with his challenges inwardly without sharing. So from a psychological point of view then, is there a correlation between not sharing your struggles with now getting into substance abuse? Because the numbers are already very clear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Regina, for that question. And as my friend has just said, is sometimes because men have been culturalized to believe that they are not supposed to speak up when they are experiencing very big emotions, negative emotions. You would find that the best way they are able to deal with those kind of emotions is these dangerous behaviors like taking substances, or if they're not doing that, then they're doing something that's more harmful. And you find maybe they're engaging in very violent behaviors or tendencies where you see a lot of aggression. The correlation between mental health and addiction is something you'd say codependent, because if someone is not able to adjust to the challenges that they're experiencing, if they're not able to look at themselves and be able to handle the challenges they're experiencing, it's only expected that they are going to be using something that can calm them down, and that's substances. Yes.
What is it a question of their lack in safety for men to actually open up? Tony?
Yeah, actually what happens is that it's lack of safety. There's one thing that normally brings men together, and far away from the perception that men will be brought together by activities like going out for nyama choma, soccer, and what have you. Every man in within, there's something that brings them together, the non-verbal communication. Because what happens is that when a man is going through some sort of emotional setback, they tend to close in. They want to hang out.
The man cave.
The man, yes. They want to hang out with the rest of the men, but not to communicate and open up. So there's that kind of non-verbal communication. And that's why, Ray, you'll realize that men will hang out, they want to be out, not because they are opening up to fellow men, because of company, and they don't want to go home. I mean, somebody doesn't want to go home, they just want to go home at a particular time when they feel safe, okay, that they can just go home and have a sleep. So basically it's about men will not open up because of that sense of insecurity.
Insecurity.
Yes.
So our homes are not safe spaces, so to speak, for men to actually iron out their challenges. So what do we do as a psychologist, as mothers, as sisters, as wives, as girlfriends and partners? How do we create a safe environment for the men in our lives to actually open up?
Regina, when you look at the context of Africa, men, as we grow up, we are taught to man up. or take responsibility, become courageous, become responsible. And so at the point where you show emotion or you show that you're vulnerable, that makes you look like you're not manly enough, or maybe you're a weak man who cannot be able to handle their situations. And so because of that, you find that men will tend mostly not want to share or even confront the issues they have by maybe talking to their spouses or even talking to friends. And also maybe it's also maybe how we've also looked at men who have become vulnerable, men who have maybe communicated their emotions. I've seen, as someone who is practicing and working with men, is that you find that men have been victimized maybe after these conversations with women or with their mothers. So you find that the point where they communicated, there was a lot of rejection, there was a lot of, how they stand as a man was questioned. And because of that, you'd see we would need as a community to come together. And I think this month is a very beautiful month to sensitize on why men should be able to be in touch with their emotions.
Men need to be in touch with their emotions. But we've already addressed the fact that how we have been socialized and enculturated is that a man is perceived stronger when they keep quiet. So it has to start from a nascent age.
Yes.
The question is, do we have men who are willing to mentor boys? Speak up, learn to speak up, because that's a missing gap. How do we address that, Tony?
Yeah, sure. So what happens is that, and the whole aspect of being a father is one, being a protector, being a provider, being a mentor, and a role model. So we're looking at a new dawn of parenting, and men have to be in touch, not just their sons, but the general. Try to mentor your children and show them, indeed, it is healthy to open up. Whatever you're going through, it is healthy to open up and to seek for help. Otherwise, we don't want to raise children in a manner that, you're a man. You should not cry. You should not do those things. No. Let us communicate to the children and show them it is okay to seek for help and to open up.
Kali, looking at it and the society we find ourselves in, let me be the is there room for men who are in touch with their emotions in our current society? Because that's another issue. They'll be termed as feminized men. So we run the risk of also affecting their morale. So how do we build capacity with the place we find ourselves?
I think the first thing is looking at ourselves and looking at what we are losing by not acknowledging men as people who are emotional. Men have been trained not to care about emotions, but look at life from a place of success, responsibility, and all those things. And so first is also look at everyone coming to a place where they can understand that men are emotional beings. And if they are not able to regulate and even be able to handle emotions, they become more aggressive, they become more these people that you don't want them to become. And so there is a big responsibility on society, on women and also children, and even the fathers who are there, that they are raising kids who are emotionally aware of the kind of emotion they're experiencing, how to express those. And when you find these kind of challenges, where do you go to?
Good question. Now, before we get to how do we get help, there's something that you've mentioned, men who are there, fathers who are there. Statistics indicate that single-led parent homes are on the increase, with more single mothers very much apparent. So we are having missing men in the family setup. With that kind of situation, how then do we help those boys who find themselves being brought up by their mothers? Not that they're not doing a good job, but it is a challenge. It is a job of a man to grow a man or mentor a man. How do we tap in, Tony?
One of the basic things that we need to ask ourselves, why are these men absent? Why are these men not being there to raise the children? One, it's because of probably these men are pushed away, and parenting or being a man is not just about provision. It's about being present, being a mentor, and also to command some sense of self-esteem, to the children. So the men will probably at some point be pushed out or be pushed away. And what are the parameters, or what is the sense of a man? A man is not just measured by parameters of provision or standing up in the manly activities. No, it's by being present, the mentoring, and instilling some morals into the children. So we are having this scenario of a lot of single moms parenting, probably either by design or by other issues that might arise because of the parameters that are used to measure this man, and probably how the culture or how the society views a man's presence and ability does not measure up. Then you find that this man is pushed away.
So we need to readjust. If a man is willing to be there in their children's life, then we need to address that. Whether their relationship has fallen apart, it has nothing to do with the children. And looking at Cap 39 of the Children's Act, it does acknowledge that the child should benefit from both parents in that particular setup. Now let's come back to you, Lewis, as a counselor. How then do we seek help? And at what point do we recognize that we are addicted? You know, we refer ourselves as social drinkers, but when does social stop being social and it becomes an addiction? There's a very thin line in that. How do we identify that?
Men cope in a few ways, and it's the very unhealthy, maladaptive behaviors. And so either a man withdraws, a man isolates, or a man withdraws, isolates, or just escapes. And so escapism, where you find them now doing things like taking substances or maybe gambling, because these are addictions. Apart from this addiction, there's also this other addiction. But also, it's important for us to really look into the health-seeking behaviors of men. And you'll see it's not only even mental health, but even the other facets of health. Men are not able to seek for those services. And so the first thing is looking at what mental health is and how we understand that, because until we remove that stigma, a man will not be able to seek for those kind of services. And so there's a lot of support in terms of therapists being there, psychiatrists being there, and we also have groups where men can be able to go and be able to share about their experiences with life. And also something that you've mentioned before, it's mentorship. If the men who are in care, giving of young adults and teenagers are not able to mentor these boys or mentor these young men to understanding and becoming in touch with the emotions, you'd see that they become these, they do not become adaptive. So the care that a man needs is something that is also very different from the care women need. And that's very important to recognize that when a man goes to therapy, sometimes they're not going to ask for to be understood. They are not
what are they seeking when they go for therapy?
Most of the time, what a man is looking for is look at a man and a woman. A man with the context that we have he's looking to be more financially stable, to become more stoic, to uplift their masculinity, standing. And so if that is not appreciated in a session, then you'll see they are not going to be there so much. So another thing is therapy, and therapists need to be trained to be gender specific also in the kind of care they offer to
now Lewis, we'll give you a moment to wind up on that conversation, but now we take you live to Carnival grounds, where we have Sports Cabinet Secretary Babuna Mwamba addressing those in attendance. That particular sound issue, we will be taking you back there. Remember, the under-17 junior starlets have made a world-class performance and secured a slot in the FIFA World Cup, the very first in Kenya's history. Now, as you were saying, when a man seeks counseling and a woman seeks counseling, they're not seeking the same thing. A man is seeking What again?
Man is looking to understand how to handle maybe their finances, how to handle the stress. As a therapist who've been working with men, I work with a facility, Maranatha, which is a home facility for men. Some of the things that you'll find in the session is that when you ask someone, why are you here? They will not say what they're feeling. The first thing they're going to tell you is, there's nothing. Someone just told me to come for this session.
Okay, so they do not know exactly what took them there.
Yes.
We will come back to come back and close on our conversation, and you can also be part of it. We understand we have sound now. Let's have a listen in to what CS Ababu Namwamba has to say in regard to where we are and that particular quite success of the under-17 Junior Starlets team.
Ambayo itaendea timu yetu ya Junior Starlets ni zawadi ya watoto ama wachezaji pamoja na technical bench. We reward the players and the technical bench. And as is customary for those who are under 18, like we did with the Talanta Hela initiative, we involve the parents very, very closely in that reward. And we also involve your schools. During the Talanta Hela program, we were able to pay school fees, and we are also able to support families through what you win as players. And so it's my honor and privilege to announce a reward of 10 million shillings. The captain to lead her players. My captain and coach, Coach Regina. Coach Regina is captain me like a float in the air. I didn't even see how she got here. All the players who come here, all the players together with the technical bench tafadhali mjiunge na sisi, mupokee hii zawadi yenu. The players will join us. They'll join us on the stage. All the players and the technical bench can join us here. We can stretch this side. We have more space that side. Out of these 10 million shillings, each player is guaranteed a minimum of 300,000 shillings. Each player gets 300,000 shillings. Wale ambao wako na madeni ya school fees, we clear those school fees debts. Those ones that have any plans like going to college, like our captain, fantastic Elizabeth, who has finished school, you have plans to go to college, we will support you to go to college right away. And we'll encourage you to go to college so that you can progress your talents while also progressing your academic pursuits. So makofi kwa timu yetu.
Sasa mnataka kufanya hapa, mtakuja hapa. kuja hapa kwenye mambo yetu. Wasonge nyuma kidogo tu hivyo kwa hii picha wanapata hii kalipo. Hapa wakuje tu nini? Picha hiyo wasapata sisi kwa mambo mengine hapa waziri. Kifika hapa mambo yetu. Hii check simwekelea hapa juu kwenye mambo yetu. Hapa. Tupande laini mbili hapa ile yetu. Ile yetu wewe. Amesema nimesikia kama unasema 300. Anasema ngapi? 300.
Congratulations, ladies, there having made history and now 10 million shillings richer. The under-17 junior starlets there have secured a position at the World Cup, FIFA World Cup, there after thrashing Burundi. Further details are going to be available when Bernardo Kumu, my colleague on the other side of the studio, brings us up to speed with further stories that are making headlines in the sporting arena. Now, just to close this conversation on Father's Day, the two gentlemen in studio, that is Lewis Mutugi, who is a counseling psychologist, as well as Anthony Muthemba, who is a public health practitioner. As we come to a close, we are addressing men who are finding solace in alcohol and substance abuse, who are struggling with, struggles that they are not willing to share. Parting shot to them. Let's start off with Lewis, then we finish off with Tony.
There's another way, and there are other things that people can do and not use a substance to cope. When you look at alcohol, it's a pain reliever, and it takes away pain and doesn't heal anything. So a call to every man is that when you find yourself struggling, when you find yourself having, maybe you're feeling sad, you're anxious, or you're having issues with sleep, you're not able to regulate your emotions, and you're not able to do the things that you were excited to do before, it's a call for you to seek for help, and help is available. The first thing is understanding that therapy is a journey that you take with your counselor, with your therapist, and it's a journey that is going to be very confidential. It's not a place where your masculinity will be judged, or you'll be put to a place where you wonder if you're safe. Mm-hmm. So you'll be safe, and it's okay not to be okay, and help is always there. If you ask for help, you'll get help.
If you ask for help, you'll get help, and it's a safe space.
It's a safe space.
For therapy. It's
Yes.
good for men. Anthony, closing remarks?
Yeah, what I'd like to tell fellow men is that the men who are fathers, grandfathers, step-up dads, and the father figures in their families or in whatever relationship that they are in. Being a man is a privilege, but it's also difficult being a man. And being a man, you have to stand up on your toes. It's all about confidence. It's all about control. It's all about commitment. And it's all about taking up the challenge. You take up the challenge, and whatever comes your way, face it. And in case you find yourself in a certain situation that might lead to some sort of addiction, seek for help. Addiction will creep in easily, but it has devastating effects to your mental health.
Oh.
So stand up, men.
Stand up, men. And on that note, it does not make you less of a man. If you speak up in a safe space, you're definitely going to get a solution to that problem. That puts a cap on our conversation tonight as we mark Father's Day. We head over to Matter Sports with Bernard Okumu. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Indeed, glad to have you on Sunday Express time to get to the latest from the sports world. And we begin with great news. World Cup, here we come, where the Kenya Under-17 women's soccer team, Junior Starlets, has made history as the first Kenyan soccer team to qualify for the World Cup after beating Burundi 2-0 in their second leg 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier play today at Ulinzi Sports Complex. Now Kenya joins Nigeria and Zambia from the CAF region as one of the representatives of Africa at the 16-team Global Showpiece.
Marion Serenge and Valerie Nekesa scored for the Junior Starlets to hand Kenya the historic World Cup qualification.
Fanya kazi nzuri, hakubaki chini.
Bado Kenya wanaingia kwenye kijisanduku. Anakuja leo mlango, anaweka chini, inawekwa na Serenge. KBC wananyang'anywa, inatangulizwa tena kwenye njia, yanaingia mtu, anachekecha 1, 2, 3, 4, Nekesa!
The Mildred Cheche Charges had defeated Burundi 3-0 in their first leg, fourth round fixture played last weekend in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
We have a very formidable team that is able to compete at any level. Through Chapadimba, Talanta Hela, school games, they've played a major role in giving us the best players because through those platforms we've been able to select the best of the best. That's why we have depth in our squad. And also through more school games, I believe we can also beef up the squad.
Inamaanisha kwamba ukifocus hata kukiwa na kelele na uweke macho yako kwa goal yako na uendelee na kazi hata kama miaka ngapi, you can do it and it doesn't matter wewe ni nani, and that's what you're seeing today.
The 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup is slated for October 16th to November 3rd in the Dominican Republic.
Hongera kwa wasichana wetu, wanadada wetu. Wamechora historia mbele yetu tukishuhudia timu ya kwanza kwa historia ya taifa letu kufuzu kwenye kombe la FIFA la ulimwengu kwa kiwango chochote kile. So hongera ni kwao, na vile vile nimefurahia sana vile wa Kenya wamechangamkia, wamefika hapa kwa mara ya kwanza. Uwanja huu wa Ulinzi umeshona kushona na kumekuwa na atmosphere kibao kabisa hapa.
Africa will be represented by 3 countries in the Global Showpiece. For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
And well done to Junior Starlets. Indeed, World Cup, here we come. Indeed, you deserve that 10 million and much more. Turning over to beach volleyball now, where debutants Edward Kibet and Brian Meli will lead Kenya's quest in the upcoming 2024 Paralympics Africa Beach Volleyball Qualifiers, slated from 18th to 23rd of June in Morocco. Now, the Kenyan team is expected to leave the country tomorrow for the Olympic qualifiers.
The duo grabbed the 2 available slots for the Olympic qualifiers as top seeds Jairus Kipkosgei and Helfas Makoto failed to make the team. Regulars Gaudesia Makoha and Naomi Toa were named to the women team ahead of Yvonne Wavinya and debutants Charlene Sembei. The men's team will be under the tutelage of Ibrahim Odor, while Sally Wanjala will coach the women's team. The Kenyan team will have another shot at the Olympic qualification after failing to qualify for the games during the African Games in Accra, Ghana in March this year. Kenya made an historic appearance in the beach volleyball at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, although the pair of Braxidi Sagala and Gaudesia Makoha lost all their group matches in Tokyo. The Kenyan team is expected to leave the country tomorrow for the Olympic qualifiers.
Well, and the beach volleyball story brings a cap to our sports this Sunday on Sunday Express edition. But remember that you can catch this and other stories by visiting our website www.kbc.co.ke/sports. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
You can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your wind. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
That puts a cap on Matters Sports, and also as you wind up on Sunday Express on a day that we mark Father's Day, I want to honor all the men who take time to be present and intentional about being fathers as we celebrate fathers across the world. So Mr. Manyara, you did an awesome job, and I'm proud to be your daughter. Have a pleasant week ahead. I'm Regina Manyara. Be blessed.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu.
He was supposed to give me a full report on Melena's past, but all this says is that this woman is a living saint, can't even kill a fly. Oh, please.
I have to take the risk. I'm not running. If I do, I will lose everything.
You lost your mind? How could you spend the night with your father's worst enemy?
You had better treat me with respect, because if you don't...
Let go of me, Reynaldo! You don't have the right to treat me this way!
Je, una malimbikizi ya ushuru? Mamlaka ya utozaji ushuru nchini KRA inakupa msamaha wa adhabu na riba ya ushuru kufikia tarehe 31 Disemba 2022 kupitia Tax Amnesty Program.